Hello and welcome to On the Corner, the official podcast, pitcherlist.com. I'm your host, Eric Samulski, joined on this new venture on our final 5 weeks of the season by Nick Pollack. Nick, tell the people what's different this time around.
What is happening? And it's the fact that I have a cat on my lap.
No, that's not different. That's weekly now.
Cashew that is cashew. No, this is the time of year where instead of me just giving a generic list of all the pitchers, not generic, but you understand, it's now actually separated out to focus on rest of season schedule because they matter so much. I don't really want to do it at the beginning of the year. It's more about short term, but now it's like, okay, hold on a second. You actually really need to understand that there are only 6 starts left for some guys. Some might have like 3 or 4. So we need to showcase that. And then we're going to highlight the guys who we can circle for very specific starts in the season, who have good streams early, who have good streams late. And really, we're going to be skipping over a lot of the guys that are just going to be rostered on your teams.
Yeah. Fully agree with everything Nick said. Just a little promotion of my own stuff as well. When my Wednesday pitcher column is now switching over as well to be kind of like a weekend streamers column that comes out every Wednesday. And it will be like, hey, here are the guys for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday that I think are worth targeting. And, just we're doing the same thing. We're basically, you're still doing the analysis of like, hey, who's doing new things? What's interesting? But really the key at this point is who am I going to use? Who am I not? And I love doing this exercise with you because like last year, I remember Bowden Francis was on that really hot run and we looked at his schedule and we were like, hey, the next 3 starts are brutal. And if you're going to bench a guy for 2 to 3 weeks in a 10 or 12 team league, like that guy should not be on your roster. If at this point in the year, you're not going to use him for 3 weeks. So hopefully this will help with that endeavor. We're going to start with one of the fringiest of all rotations because I'm not sure anybody in the Arizona Diamondbacks rotation is like a every week set it and forget it starter. But what stands out to you from Arizona? And I should ask you to just highlight to the people this really cool thing that you have in the spreadsheet this year with the average opponent value column.
Sure. So what we've done is through PLV projections, our incredible projection system. If you know PLBot, it's the same idea. It's ranking all the offenses, all that kind of stuff. And instead of just saying, hey, Nick's loose ranking, we have all the buckets associated based on the projections of that offense, based on PLV and Process Plus and whatnot, right? So all the colors you see, the light green are the ones that you want to stream against. The really dark ones are like the beautiful ones, and they're just given a score on 5-1. 5 is the best team to stream against. 1 is the worst. So for the first, I believe it's 4 games, we have it as opponent value. And it's just the average of the games that they get. Really and cool. We have this inside of the PL Pro expected schedules. So if you are already using that, then you've seen this for a bit now. But it's just a really quick way to glance at it and say, okay, cool. Is this a good schedule ahead or is it a bad one?
I love that. And so the top guy on the Diamondbacks is Eduardo Rodriguez. Do you feel most confident in him from the Diamondbacks or no?
Well, I mean, I think Ryan Nelson I feel a little bit better at. And also you'll see the starters have different colors as well. I've done them this year as in the list. I just group all the guys into different buckets. So we have the auto starts, the ones that we're not going to talk about, the aces for the most part. We have the solids that are actually, one is Ryan Nelson, who's just pretty much you're probably going to start him. Think of it like auto start, probable start, right? You have your early streamers, you have your later streamers. You have your Tobies and bombs when that is what Eduardo Rodriguez is. And then you have your single start streamers, your desperate streamers, and you have your do not starts. So here we have Desclafani and Nabo Charisma as do not start. Zach Gallen's a desperate stream. It's really just against the Giants, even though he's done well last 2 starts. Ryan Nelson is pretty much like good matchups early, and then it's the Twins, Phillies, and Dodgers. And honestly, I might be fine with that too. So I have him as a solid. Brandon Pfaadt is a guy that I would only go for maybe 1 or 2 of these. That is the Red Sox or the Giants. And even then, I'm just like, I don't want to deal with Brandon Pfaadt, even though the change up and sinker thing is working-ish. And then Eduardo Rodriguez is just kind of like, all right, you're a Toby, and you're going to get the Red Sox and the Giants twice. And you're okay. You're fine.
Well, And see, that's kind of what I mean, listen, this is an awesome sheet. We're not going to go into this, overly, we're not going to go overly aggressive into this. I know it's hard to calculate all of this kind of stuff. But I am curious of like, if there's any way that when you're looking at like what the calendar is, or not the calendar, the offensive matchups, some of them are drastically different, righty versus lefty. So like Boston has the 5th best OPS in baseball versus left-handed pitchers. So Eduardo Rodriguez, fringe lefty. Boston is actually a bad matchup versus lefties. Things like that to consider.
That's a really good point. We actually do separate out inside of the projections for home and road. Mm-hmm. However, I don't think we do it heavily with lefty righty necessarily. I think we do in some aspects if it's like such a big gap we have in the past, but I don't think it is right now. So that's a really good point with Eduardo Rodriguez. At the same time, I do believe that if Eduardo Rodriguez is working with this changeup, it benefits him to get that righty matchup, right?
Yeah.
More so than the lefty. So I still honestly am okay with it, especially away from Fenway. And it might be something to consider there. I would also wonder if that is boosted by right-handers having an easier time in Fenway.
Maybe. I mean, they have a very platoon-heavy lineup. I mean, guys like Rob Refsnyder and Romy Gonzalez, that's all they're in the lineup to do.
Right.
And some teams are like that. So we'll move on to the A's. We should just say a couple of notes for the A's. Jacob Lopez, it is left forearm tightness. And he said, right now, he just said, I have no idea. I've had Tommy John. This feels different. It feels more in my flexor. Regardless, it doesn't seem good for Jacob Lopez. Jack Perkins is already on the IL, so you're kind of taking both of those guys out of the equation for the immediate. You're going to talk about the rotation in general. I'm just going to say Luis Morales was their 3rd-ranked prospect, and he's done some things that are interesting.
Absolutely. He throws 97, Eric. And it's not the most empty velocity because it is 1.5 height adjusted VAA. He is trying to go upstairs with it, but that's the biggest question. He has a 43% high lock as opposed to like the 55% that you want to see with someone with that flat attack angle. But he also does have some potential in his in whiffability as well, but we really haven't seen it totally take off yet. We did see the 6 strikeout game in Seattle, which was really nice with some 4 whiffs on the sweeper. We had 2 whiffs on the sweeper, and we had 5 whiffs on the 4-seamer. It just like, you see the velocity like, oh, okay, maybe this could work. Mm-hmm. And we're just waiting for the command and polish to come. So you might see more of him. He has some early matchups that could go well. It isn't something that I really want to go and chase, but you could try to go for early on.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. I mean, the rest of the rotation doesn't intrigue me that much. And so I think that that's kind of like the one guy that's of interest to me. Obviously, Jeffrey Springs, we've done the dance. Like, depending on the matchup, he can be fine. You're also like, you've had some real blow-up starts in Sacramento, and you just have to play that game of like, when these guys are at home, you may just want to fully avoid them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Moving on to Atlanta, the big news, we said we're not going to talk about aces, but Chris Sale, if he comes back, is Chris Sale somebody that you're just like, he's back, I'm putting him in my lineup?
Yeah, pretty much. Okay. Pretty much. I mean, it's really hard to do with these schedules too. It's like, this is going to change. We did all this work for this week, and it's like in 3 days, it's going to be like, nope, never mind. We're just moving on.
We don't know if the Braves are going to a 6-man, if they're going 5, who gets bumped, anything like that.
Right. And when it comes to Chris Sale, it's like, look, you're not going to be picking him up. Like, he's on your team. So do what you want. You're going to be starting him wisely. If you want to still it, fine. But then after that, you're going to start him. So good luck.
Yeah. I hate that Waldrop might get Cubs in there, but he's been pitching so well. You may.
Yeah. It's annoying to see that there are certain guys like Waldrop too, who also would get the Nationals after, which is nice, but then it's possible things happen and he happens to get Houston instead. And the outlooks that we have with this are really up in the air. We don't know if Chris Sale needs another week. And if that's the case, then wait, hold on. That's not a 6-man. It's a 5-man for a week. And then that means that the start actually becomes Houston for Waldrop, right? So what is important about Atlanta is that there are 3 series, actually 4 to end the year that are great. It's at Washington, and then it's at Detroit, and then it's hosting Washington, then it's hosting the Pirates. So that means the final 2 weeks, Joey Wentz becomes a very, very interesting one.
Yes,
he gets
sir.
Miami this week, which is good, even though it was a bad one last time against the Mets. He'll get the Cubs twice, and it's one of those cases where you get out, then you come back in, right? Spencer Strider hopefully has a good one against Miami tonight. You'll be listening to this, and you'll know the answer already. But then it'll be at Philly, then Seattle, then Houston, regardless of the 6-man or not. And that's not fun. For a guy who's been really struggling, that is just not fun. So that's really the main thing with Atlanta. It's Houston, Waldrop, and Joey Wentz are the ones to focus on.
Yeah. There's some interesting names in the Baltimore rotation because they might get 3 new starters this week because Kyle Bradish confirmed coming back Tuesday against the Red Sox. Tyler Wells maybe comes back this week, maybe comes back next week. As of right now, the Orioles have said Wednesday's starter, unannounced, not going to be a bullpen game, was what Tony Mansolino, the manager, said. So it's like it could be Tyler Wells. Interestingly, it could be old friend Roansy Contreras,
oh my gosh,
who's back as a starting pitcher and really has actually been pitching pretty well for the Orioles. The strikeout numbers in AAA are low, but you know he's throwing strikes. He's putting together solid ratios. It's definitely more of a deep league play, but this is not a. I mean, Roansy Contreras I think he's only 25 years old still, and he was a top 100 prospect. Crazier things have happened than him being decent.
Right. What's so funny to me is that Atlanta is just the team of nomads.
Mm-hmm.
And Atlanta was doing that, but now all of a sudden the Orioles are like, you know what? We can do it too. And I wouldn't be surprised if Roansy does this one thing, gets DFA'd, and Atlanta's like, you know what? Hey, what's up, Roansy? Let's come over here. Yeah, don't expect anything against the Red Sox. And if he happens to stick around longer, I don't know. Like, I don't expect anything there. I also don't expect anything from Tyler Wells coming back. I hope so. We had some intrigue on him before, but it's just not. It just doesn't really look like something that was sustainable back then, and it's far too risky now. But I am obviously excited about Kyle Bradish. We'll see how this goes tomorrow. And then I imagine it's just something you keep starting throughout. I have him listed as a Toby and a bomb because it could be a little bit rougher. And then there's also the Yankees in his last 2 starts. Keep in mind with that. And it's also really tough with Trevor Rogers. You would think I'd put him in the auto start tier. However, it is after this giant start, it's going to be the Dodgers at Toronto, Yankees and Yankees, which I'm not saying that Trevor Rogers can't do that and he hasn't deserved that just kind of blanket start for you, but that's kind of hard to do.
Yeah. James Shiano and I talked about Bradish on the Q&A today, 2 p.m. Monday, Roto World Fantasy Baseball Q&A. We just said, like, to me, it's got to do it.
I love it every time.
To me, we just said it's like, think of it like Christian Javier, right? Another guy who has flashed coming off Tommy John. Javier looked great in his season debut. And then the second start, it was like, oh, he wasn't feeling well. And then the third start, the command issues were, all out of whack. And that kind of stuff can happen from guys coming off Tommy John. So even if Bradish looks great, just there's going to be volatility to him for the remainder of the year. And if you're okay with that, roll with it. But just expect that volatility.
And I want to just be very clear. Eric is not comparing the career command of Bradish or Bieber to Javier.
Right.
He is making a good point just about, look, we don't know first start versus second. There are things we see all the time from debuts to the second one to returns from injury. And with Bradish, what is nice to know is that seeing his performance in AAA is that the slider is the slider. Mm-hmm. The 4-seamer is getting the cut action you want it to have. And it does feel like, okay, cool. This feels like it is Bradish at the moment. So to see him at 87 pitches in that too means that he'll likely get a fairly long leash in this return. And
I'm
I think
hoping
it's a
we get
situation you're just going to see him rostered everywhere at this point, and you're hoping that it works out.
I'm hoping we get a last year DeGrom situation where we get 3 or 4 good starts from Bradish to make us feel confident heading into next year. That's kind of my approach here.
Cool.
Boston is next. Another interesting rotation. We know their top 3 are locked in: Crochet, Bayo, Giolito. Dustin May right now seems set as their 4. Walker Buehler has been moved to the bullpen.
It's funny. I did for 3 straight roundups saying, like, why is he still starting? And I think they finally like, maybe you're right.
I think, to be fair, Kyle Harrison, as Alex Cora specifically addressed, he's been a little more inconsistent than they wanted after all these pitch mix changes. What's interesting has been the cutter that they added has actually looked really good the last few starts, and the fastball command has gone away.
Oh, no.
And we've talked about this over and over and over again, right? When you're adding a new pitch, it can impact the aspects of other pitches you have. So He's adding a cutter. It's a different type of a fastball. The 4-seam fastball command has started to leave him a little bit. So I think the Red Sox would like Kyle Harrison to push for a spot, but he's going to need to push for that spot. Right now, what they're doing is having Richard Fitz as a bulk reliever, which is interesting because he does have third time through the order issues. So if today they're using Brennan Bernardino as a lefty, so if they do that, that could make Fitz interesting. The other name to keep an eye on is Peyton Toll, the left-handed pitcher in AAA, who's on a little bit of a Jonah Tong path where they forced their way to AAA. They've been really good early in AAA, and so now the teams are like, I mean, maybe. And so
it's actually 2 quick things here. One, Richard Fitz in the minors has had a massive drop in velocity, about 2 ticks, but we've seen that be reverted. Actually, Taj Bradley was doing the same. Then he came back at 97.5 or 95.7. And it's possible that Richard Fitz is doing the same. Who knows? But I'm not too confident in this game against the Orioles today, and then Pittsburgh, and then at Arizona. I mean, it might be a situation. I call him a desperate stream right now because I wouldn't bank on it, and I need to know more information. But I didn't want to say, hey, go and do this, because I just don't know. I play conservatively there. With Peyton Toll, actually this morning, this is why I love the community so much. They'll constantly say, hey, Nick, can you look at this prospect for me? And it's starting
really good.
That I have not been following any of that. So they'll let me know when there's someone maybe coming up soon. And Peyton Toll is a lefty with about 7.2 feet of extension. That is the cool thing. The vert on it, not so much. The VAA on it, not so much. It is a variety of pitches with it, which is cool. I'm not that sold on it, but I want to see it. I want to, witness what's going on. But my understanding is that the changeup isn't really a major factor either. Which is a little disappointing as a southpaw, but I could be wrong. I could be misremembering.
But he's a cutter guy.
Yeah. So and then the other side of it is Jonah Tong, who, I mean, he has a 4-seamer that is 1.5 height adjusted VAA, 7.5 feet of extension, 17 to 18 inches of vert, 96 miles per hour. Hold on a second. That's all 4 of the Fan 4 Plus. That's like excelling. Awesome. And he throws a ton of strikes with it. They're not up, but that's where you want with a flat attack angle, right? Oh my gosh, that flicker is the tail from Cashew. My gosh. And I'm out of focus now. Thank you so much, Cashew. You're such a wonderful cat. But anyway, Jonah Tong is someone that goes 4-seamer changeup right now as a righty, but he throws a lot of those 4-seamers for strikes. So, and that changeup for strikes too. We haven't really seen too much of the secondary stuff or the breakers in AAA yet. But yeah, if Jonah Tong does make an appearance, he's not on the 40, man. So
Neither Peyton Toll.
I didn't know that about Peyton Toll. Thank you.
Yeah. On August 5th, Lance Brozdowski tweeted, Peyton Toll's fastball might be the best performing pitch in all of minor league baseball. 23% swinging strike rate is number 1 in all of minor league baseball. Wow. 43% zone miss rate. The average is 19%.
Yeah, that is really incredible. I do wonder if it has to do more with I mean, the wider arsenal, as we know, just the more things you add, the amplification, right?
I think it's also the release point, like the way the release and the mechanics of it. It's a little funky fastball, but
that's
it's
awesome.
Really
I
well.
mean, if we're seeing that, then like, yeah, if he gets the call, you gotta make a spec ad. But this is kind of one of the things about this. If we don't know what changes are going to happen here, and every single week I will be updating this.
Yeah, we're gonna change to the Chicago Cubs, but we're gonna do that after this break. So, Chicago Cubs, a lot of guys with some strong opponent value scores. We have some set it and forget it's in Imanaga and Matthew Boyd. What else are you seeing in the Cubs rotation?
I mean, look, Tyone has a great schedule. He goes in the course, sure, but then it's Washington, at Atlanta, at Pittsburgh, at Cincinnati, St. Louis. Really, the only fearsome matchup outside of course is the Mets. And who knows what the Mets will look like at the end of September. You know, that's the traditional time where things go south, right? So it also means that Colin Ray is a very interesting one. And then there's Cade Horton. I mean, there are two series against Atlanta. I should mention that one because we have them as kind of an average team. They are just super hot and cold, right? And Cade Horton, who had the blister, but then was great in that start against the Angels. I don't really know what to make of him at the moment. So I have him as a Toby / cherry bomb, right? And you might want to jump back in on that one, but otherwise, I mean, Imanaga and Boyd, obviously, you're just rolling with those guys.
Yep, agree with you on that. Let's move to the other side in what might be a quick discussion. However, Martin Perez is back in the White Sox rotation, and Martin Perez is somebody who has always just kind of produced deep league value, maybe not 12-team league value in the past. And then you just recently wrote up Yoendrys Gomez for the White Sox. So tell me what you see for the White Sox rotation.
So you have Shane Smith also here against the Rays in Baltimore later on. I mean, the early series are Kansas City away from Kaufman, the Yankees, and then at Minnesota, at Detroit. It's like not the best early schedule, but then you get Tampa Bay, not in George Steinbrenner Field. You have at Cleveland, you have hosting Baltimore. Like these are the matchups you might be wanting to touch. And then the last weekend is actually at the Nationals. So you might have some sneaky ones there. And Yoendrys Gomez is a guy with a 95-mile-per-hour four-seamer with great extension on it, a good amount of verts, a decent flat attack angle on it. Like there is potential there if he can command it. And he does have a pair of breaking balls in the sweeper and a two-playing curveball that could get whiffs too. So I have my eye on him. I don't necessarily expect the command to be so good that he'll be able to go 5-6 innings consistently with at least a strikeout per inning. But he might get the Rays, he might get the Guardians later on, he might get the Nationals. That might be a guy to sneakily pick up that no one really knows later on in September. And Martin Perez, as you mentioned, he is that lefty with a changeup and cutter, and we've seen these Vargas rules from him too in the past.
Yep.
Certainly looks like he's capable of it now, but you're going to have to wait until early September, September 5th against the Tigers or hosting the Rays on the 11th to be able to actually take advantage of that.
Moving on to Cincinnati, these opponent value scores are terrible. The Reds schedule to end the season is not great.
No.
And on top of that, you have the confusion in the Reds rotation of if and when Chase Burns comes back. Is it a piggyback situation? Is it a six-man? We knew that Terry Francona already said he was going to be limited before he got hurt, so it seems like a piggyback type of vibe.
Right.
Is this just like I'll start Hunter Green and maybe nobody else?
Yeah, it's really tough. I think you're going to still go with Andrew Abbott, even though he just had a bad game. You still kind of got to do it. And then you also get Brady Singer, who has been a volatile arm, absolutely. But it is at St. Louis and then hosting the Pirates and then at Milwaukee. And those three at the end of this season might actually be that surprise 6-inning start that you need. Zach Littell, I have him as a desperate stream. I mean, you guys know how I feel about him. Same with Nick Martinez, if he is actually getting opportunities. And Nick Lodolo, which is really frustrating that he is at the Dodgers and then hosting the Jays in Great American Ballpark. Remember, of course, and at San Diego, then at Sacre Verde with the Athletics and then hosting the Cubs. It's just not fair, and honestly, it might be something that is beneficial to fantasy managers for 2026 because Nick Lodolo has been so good this year. he has his injury, and then he might have a rougher September that would lower his draft perception for 2026. But I'm a huge fan of what he did. He finally had his consistent rhythm that's showcased. Cool, I can actually have locations on my changeups and my curveballs and my fastballs, and things can go well.
Yeah.
But right now, especially coming off the IL, it's just, oh gosh, I can't touch this.
Yeah. Some more intriguing names in Cleveland. I did want to talk to you about young Parker Messick, because as I read your recaps, Parker Messick fits this breed of lefty that we've been talking about regularly. Also, I wanted to push back a little bit on the scheduling here and just note that John Means has only thrown 6 1/3 total innings in 2 rehab starts at high A. He's scheduled to move to triple A on Tuesday and start. I would be shocked if he came back the next start.
Hey, take it up with RotoWire.
I
They
will
provide our scheduling, okay?
So I think Means
out.
I think Means may be somebody who's back like for the last like mid-September.
No, that makes a ton of sense to me.
I think Parker Messick has a little bit of a longer runway than RotoWire seems to believe.
Yeah, I would agree with that completely. So let's just say that Parker Messick gets the Rays and then at Fenway and even at Tampa Bay. I don't know if I really want to start any of those save for Tampa Bay or the first one. The first one
I did
away
like
from
him as a streamer this week. I did.
Yeah. So I think he's a questionable for me this week. And I don't really love his fastball changeup mix. Like there's certain guys that like, okay, I don't love it, Andrew Abbott, but you do execute the changeup well, and the breaking ball is good enough too. And like Parker Messick, it's like it's really not exciting to me.
Yeah.
So I have my reservations here.
I get it. Anybody else in there? I mean, Gavin Williams, some rough starts, but you'll like the Tampa Bay start. You'll like the White Sox start.
I mean, do I like the Tampa Bay start in George Steinbrenner Field? It's such a weird thing. He's the hipster. Logan Allen might be a desperate stream at some point for one game. Tanner Bybee, who knows? I'm kind of done chasing this. I will say John Means, when he does eventually return, it could be against Detroit twice. It could be against the Rangers on the last day of the season or very close to it. The last series is the Rangers and in Cleveland, and that could be very beneficial to whoever gets that. And no, I'm still not a part of the Slade Brigade, but I can't do it. I can't do that. Slade
Brigade. The next team is the Colorado Rockies. Do I have your permission to just skip ahead?
Yes.
Okay. The next team is the Detroit Tigers. We know we're starting Skubal. It doesn't matter. Then there's 4 guys who all have arguments to be like, Jack Flaherty, I guess, is above a streamer, but Charlie Morton, Casey Mize, Chris Paddock. Do you feel confident about any of these guys? The schedule is not great for them in the immediate.
So Charlie Morton has been really good with the strikeouts. It's kind of wild. His curveball has been that good. He does go into Sacramento. I don't like that one. Then he goes against the Mets. But then after that, the second half of the schedule for the Tigers, starting on the 12th, it's at Miami. Then we get hosting Cleveland, then hosting Atlanta, then at Cleveland, then in Fenway, right? So sure, the last one against Fenway, it's going to be very dramatic, likely with the Red Sox vying for some playoff position or being involved in that in some fashion. But you might get some good starts there from Charlie Morton along that. Casey Mize could be of value by then. However, in the first half of it, not so much. Even Jack Flaherty is so frustrating, and I feel like is so much better than he is, but he has just turned into an absolute hipster of just a coin flip each time. And it's up to you if you really want to chase the strikeouts.
Yep. Man, it's tough. It's tough on all those guys. I in some deeper formats, like I've been riding Paddock a little bit, but I don't feel great about it. Another totally evolving rotation is the Houston Astros. We know up top it's Hunter Brown, it's Framber Valdez. You're starting them. They've been really good. We know Javier is back, and we know Arrighetti is back, and they are locked into rotation spots. Luis Garcia could come back, but his last rehab start wasn't good, and Jason Alexander did pitch well. So Luis Garcia is coming back at some point. It's just whether it's going to be this week or next week, we don't know. And that's intriguing only because they get a home start against the Rockies. So whether it's Luis Garcia, whether it's Jason Alexander, that's kind of a start that you want.
Jason Alexander, all the Seinfeld puns aside, that's a great one at Rocky Road. And I just wish they would keep him around because he does the neck beard really well at times with the changeups and sinkers down. And really, Christian Javier and Arrighetti are the ones that you're curious about because Arrighetti is someone I feel like should be better than he is. He just had a productive game yesterday, but it was 3 whiffs for Arrighetti, which is, well, hold on a second. You threw nearly 60% pitches in the zone, which is super high, by the way, guys. It should be like around 50% typically, and you're reliant on chase rate for the other strikes. We didn't really get that from Arrighetti. So I think that eventually with his wide arsenal and whiffable stuff, you'll see that. Christian Javier, I also think is better than what we've seen, but we'll see about that one. And their good starts are the Angels and at Texas. It's really like the next 2 matchups for them because then it gets to Atlanta, then it gets to hosting the Mariners, who've been great. And then you have at the Angels, which might be nice for the last weekend of the season. So just keep tabs on those guys. As far as Luis Garcia goes, I'm not interested.
Yep. Maybe for next year, Luis Garcia. Hopefully, it's a situation where you get a few healthy starts under the belt, and we'll see where it goes from there. Kansas City Royals. I just want to highlight. I'm a Ryan Bergert fan. I wrote about him a couple weeks ago after his first starts in Kansas City, highlighting that they had leaned into the sweeper far more than the Padres had. And you've got a fastball with enough velocity and good IVB that he does keep at the top of the zone. And then you pair that with a sweeper. And it is interesting to me. I picked him up in a lot of places because, White Sox, Angels, Guardians for the next 3. That's pretty good. If it sticks, I don't know that I'm like pitching him against the Phillies and the Blue Jays, but I like the next 3 weeks.
Absolutely. Bergert, totally in. I actually have him circled as someone for next year too, because Bergert's the perfect example of a lower velocity guy that's, when it comes to these lower velocity guys that have a lot of promise and they're young, we have seen them go from like 93 all the way to 95, 96 before. We've seen that kind of happen over the winter. And he is someone that very well could just take off. That's like the last missing piece almost, is that, you just throw a little too slow. And if you got that, then all of a sudden, then you can even throw in a cutter that is really effective at 90 with that, right? Like it feels very close to him being something very legitimate. And it's why the Royals did what they did, the deadline to get him. So I'm very interested in Berger for those first 3. But then sadly, it's the Phillies and then hosting the Jays and the Angels after. And as much as I want to do those, I don't think I'll have the confidence to go after Berger for them. I don't think you would either.
Yeah. I did want to ask you, because this question was asked earlier on the Q&A, and I'm curious of your take because I know that you're a big Cole Reagans fan. He threw a bullpen. JJ Piccolo, who is the Royals executive vice president and GM, said that they're hopeful that Reagans will be back by the middle of September. They're only 3 games out. So this is a situation where like they might want to bring him back early to get to try to push into the playoffs, even if he's at like 3 or 4 innings. I'm just curious what your level of interest is in Reagans. Is he somebody you're stashing, or do you just think I can't do it for the rest of this year?
It's crazy, right? 3 games out. And it's not even like 3 games out with all these other guys ahead, Nick. No, they are the ones. They are they're the top of that. So the Rangers are a game behind them. The Guardians are 2 behind them, so on, or 3 behind them. So it's what? How did the Royals get here? And I can see it. I still can't believe that they decided to go Lorenzen over Falter for that SP5 spot in the meantime, but fine. I would say if he's starting, sure. I would think that the Royals would want to be really careful. It is a rotator cuff shoulder injury, right? This is something that has terrified us over the years. If outside of elbows, really, you don't want to hear shoulder. So I hope that they aren't going to rush it for this small opportunity. Is the little bit I'll say. So I won't hold my breath that Reagans is going to be the savior for my team.
That was my take as well. Angels. I got some interesting names here, and the schedules aren't great. A lot of these guys are fringy. Jose Soriano, you never know when he's going to have a good start. Is there anybody in this rotation that is intriguing you? And then I also would just say, what are your thoughts on Caden Dana? Because it seems like he's going to get a start over the weekend. Now that I think he's just getting a start. I think there's no I was thinking who got bumped, but I guess nobody got.
I mean, there's no Jack Hanowitz, just so we're clear. Yeah. There's I can try to remember who the other guy was. There was Medeiros who was pitching.
Yeah,
with them too. So Caden Dana had some intrigue last year. I just saw him really as a sinker slider guy, and I was like, this isn't that much. He did have some surprising success, though, and it's at Houston, at Kansas City, Minnesota, at Seattle, at Coors in Kansas City. It's not really any clear opening for us to really chase Caden Dana, so I'm not really targeting that one. Tyler Anderson is someone of note, and as long as he is executing those changeups down enough, he can have success on a given night. Same with Yusei Kikuchi, where he's going to throw all of a sudden more curveballs than any other pitch, right? Like, it's just, all right, fine. The Angels are really like the desperate streaming team to me. Save for Cal Hendricks. Don't do that. But yeah, I think it's a wait and see, of course, with Caden Dana.
The Dodgers seem pretty easy and set. I mean, Ohtani, Snell, Glasnow, Yamamoto, you're starting them pretty much every time out. Sheehan and Kershaw feel like guys who you're starting in good matchups, and they both have really good matchups for the next 3 matchups.
Yeah, so I mean, Sheehan, phenomenal. And Kershaw, even though that I led with a blessing and a curse, as it's just been so not repeatable and sustainable what he's been doing. Then I look at the schedule and go, well, okay, maybe it is a little bit for the next 3.
Yeah.
But you really can't push it past that. I mean, the Phillies you don't want to do. And if he somehow gets the Giants again or the Diamondbacks, look, I'll even say this. If Kershaw is actually healthy by the end of September, that's even a surprise to me. So yeah, this is kind of his last hurrah in my view. And sure, why not? It's the Reds carpet, guys. Just take it from there.
Yeah. Some interesting names on the Marlins. At this point, I'm starting Edward Cabrera most places. Yuri Perez, you're pretty much starting everywhere, and the schedule for Yuri Perez is really good. The Mets are the hardest team, and it's like, that Mets offense is tricky. The big question I have for you is also the news we just got today about Ryan Weathers. Weathers is going to make a 3-inning rehab start on Saturday. If everything goes well, he will make one more rehab start before joining the rotation. That, if you just give him a normal schedule, means his last rehab start will be Thursday, September 4th, and then he will rejoin the Marlins rotation on Monday, September 7th or whatever, for that week. And so you're going to get 3-4 starts from Ryan Weathers. I'm just curious, are you adding him? Are you happy about that? It's probably Ryan Gusto leaving the rotation and Jansen Junk staying. Does that matter to you? Where do you go from here with those guys?
Man, Ryan Weathers, I mean, we'll see the game that he gets, right? And hopefully he is so good that we got excited. We got excited about him earlier on in the year. Gusto is someone who's a desperate stream. Like, we know that there is some talent there, but we don't quite know if it's going to be what we want it to be. And then there's Jansen Junk, the junk baller, who he was hurt, so I guess he's not. We'll see. But he does have some good matchups as well. It's really just you got to play by ear. With Sandy Alcantara, I'm really excited to see the next one against Atlanta because he's had 2 good games with the changeup actually as the foundation and the fastballs then churning outs due to it. But it's 2 starts, and then he'll get the Mets and Phillies after. And it's like, oh gosh, I don't really want my season to be burned by this, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be a really, really tough one against Atlanta. We'll see.
Milwaukee made a roster move today. Milwaukee just sent Chad Patrick down to the minors and recalled Tobias Myers. So that Saturday start that Patrick was penciled in for is likely going to go to Tobias Myers. Unfortunately, it's at Toronto. You probably weren't using Chad Patrick. You're probably not using Tobias Myers. But it seems like Tobias Myers is the SP6 right now. Woodruff, you're starting. Freddie Peralta, you're starting. Are you still auto starting Mizorowski? What are you doing with Priester Quintana? What stands out to you here?
Yeah, so I mean, it's too bad about Chad Patrick, by the way. Like, what? Why did they do that? Chad Patrick was looking really good. He had his 4-seamer command upstairs. That's so frustrating. And this is why it's really nice to be a co-host with Eric Samulski, because he's on top of it. He sends me all the wonderful DMs about, hey, you should know about this thing. I'm like, oh, thank you so much. And I don't actually tell you that enough. I see the things and I don't give you the heart or the, but I always see it, Eric.
I know
It's
you do.
wonderful.
You're a busy man. I appreciate it.
And so are you, and you take the time. And with Jacob Mizorowski, I'm just starting him. I don't care. I know a lot of people are worried about the pitch counts here and there. Look, the Brewers they're probably going to be a little conservative, fine, but they're still going to want to have him for 5 innings if he can. And yes, his last 2 have been a little bit more chaotic, but just keep in mind, even though he went 4 innings, I think it was like 2 or 3 earned runs, he still had a 1 whip in that game, and he had more than a strikeout inning. I think it was actually 7 strikeouts. Like, it helped you. It was good. It benefited you, even though you got the little ding on ERA. And that's kind of how I see it. Mizorowski will be helping you, and also that was a bad day. Like, this is one of the most dominant per inning pitchers out there, and I want to make sure that's in my lineup.
I hear you. Some changes around on Minnesota. So if Pablo Lopez is making another rehab start this Tuesday, right now, however that start goes will determine what the Twins' plan is for him afterwards. Again, this is a team that's not contending right now. So for Pablo Lopez, there's probably no reason to rush him back. Simeon Woods Richardson is a little bit further along. His last rehab start was 64 pitches. And so Simeon Woods Richardson could get one more rehab start and come back around, 80 pitches. His velocity was in line with where it was at before. Interesting to note, though, that the Twins have not announced their starters for spots that would be taken by Mick Abel and Taj Bradley. So there is a possibility that the team maybe will bring up Simeon Woods Richardson at like 75 pitches and send back Mick Abel or Taj Bradley. Something to keep in mind.
Don't do that.
I do just want to say before you take over, I do so much about pitch mixes. And so I just want to throw out there that when people are like, well, obviously what the Twins were doing with Mick Abel and Taj Bradley wasn't working. It's like these guys are still working on those pitch mix changes, those approach changes. Even if the Twins thought, hey, that looked good in the minors, let's give it a shot in the majors. They're still going through that. They're still working through that. And the reality is those changes probably aren't going to cement until like May of next year, June of next year. It takes a while to reshape those arsenals. I just want to say, like, if Mick Abel and Taj Bradley don't look great to end this season, don't write them off for 2026 because the changes didn't click immediately right now.
Oh man. I very much think that Mick Abel could click in the next start even. Mick Abel's a really good pitcher. And yeah, it did not go well on his return to the majors. He had a grand slam. Well, so goes. But he did settle down after that for the most part. And no, I'd be really upset actually if Simeon Woods Richardson denies Mick Abel more starts and more reps in the majors. I feel like he deserves it very much. And same with Zebby Matthews, honestly. It's been really disappointing with Zebby as of late. And I actually want to say that Mick Abel has better command in my view, or at least more of a command foundation to build upon than Zebby Matthews.
Sorry, and that I'm glad you brought that up. Actually, that's the other pitcher that has not been listed as a definite starter this week is Zebby Matthews. So it's possible that Zebby loses his spot to Simeon Woods Richardson. Zebby Matthews, another guy I was super in on coming into this year. It didn't click. I fully expect to be in on Zebby Matthews in 2026.
Oh yeah.
It's again, prospect growth is not linear. We'll see how it works.
It sure isn't. But yeah, I'm excited for both of those guys, Matthews and Abel, for next year, 100%.
Yeah, we are going to head to New York. We're going to do it after this break.
Oh, Eric, we got no time, buddy.
We're going to push through. We'll go through quickly. New York, Nick. Nolan McLean is the big guy here. Are you just auto starting him after how these first two starts have looked?
Feels like that, right? You just got to go with it. Clay Holmes, don't feel like he's going to really hold on to this. Tyler McGill, I don't trust whatsoever. And David Peterson is your whip killer, but doesn't matter. He has such a good schedule. Sean Manaea is also someone I'm a little bit scared of. I think his third time through the lineup penalty is getting to him. And also the fastball is not performing as well at 91 as it was last year.
Yeah. We go to the Yankees next. Fried and Rodon auto starts. I know Fried hasn't, whatever. The last start was good against the Red Sox. I know beyond that, he hasn't looked great. It's Max Fried. You're starting him. I thought Cam Schlittler has looked really good the last two starts, with the exception of the start against against Toronto, which would be on September 5th if the schedule holds. It's a pretty good schedule for Cam Schlittler too. I think he needs to be added anywhere where he is
100%.
riding out there. And in Yahoo, he's like 29% rostered. So there's a lot of leagues where he might still be available.
Absolutely. And Cam Schlittler really changes his arsenal to be more solidified with four-seamer cutter curve. Command was as good as I've seen last time out. Will Warren is a really interesting one of like, you should be better. And he has become more and more volatile, even axing the changeup, which is just driving me up the wall. But he has a good schedule. The whole Yankee crew does at Chicago White Sox, then at Houston, Detroit, at Boston, at Baltimore, and then hosting the White Sox. Is what's ahead for Will Warren. Luis Gil is also a big wild card too. Is it going to click? Is it not? It hasn't clicked more than it has for him. So I wouldn't say he's a definite hold. And there are good matchups, bad matchups. So really don't go after Gil thinking that this is safe. He is more of a Hail Mary kind of play. And if you have a safer streamer, like a Toby with a good matchup, I would rather go with that.
Yeah. Moving to Philadelphia next. We kind of know this rotation. Sanchez and Ranger Suarez are guys you're starting most of the time. Jesus Luzardo has been Jesus Luzardo all year. It's a little, rocky. The K's are there. You never know. So I guess my question is, what are we doing about Aaron Nola? And Taijuan Walker is in the rotation now with the injury.
Isn't it wild? He just kept holding on to it. Then Aaron Nola, then Mick Abel went down, and then and there's no Andrew Painter. Like, what is this Taijuan Walker? I mean, he's a Vargas rule, I guess. He'll get the Brewers and Marlins after this start against the Mets, which I'm not going to do. Sorry, Taijuan. And then Aaron Nola, Aaron Nola looks good. And after the last start, his velocity was back up. The curveball was great. We're obviously going after Suarez. We're obviously going after Sanchez and Luzardo. You know what you're getting.
Yep. Pittsburgh. Listen,
Pittsburgh.
Bubba Chandler is up, but out of relief. But I like Braxton Ashcraft.
Yeah, I do too. Don't worry. That was a really fun game against the Rockies. You were seeing that beforehand, right?
And also, people should know Braxton Ashcraft was a prospect of note. He wasn't a Skeens, Jared Jones, Bubba Chandler type of super highly ranked pitching prospect, but he was a really well-regarded pitching prospect, and he looked good. And so I really like. I'm not saying hey, run out in all leagues and add Braxton Ashcraft,
right?
But I dug what he was doing, and I'm intrigued, and I'm going to keep watching. I think Bubba Chandler will push his way into the rotation. It might be for 2 or 3 starts to end the season.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds about right to me. With Braxton Axcraft, as I like to call him, four-seamer I don't think is as good, and it does mess him up a little bit. But even though there's some velocity in there, it's just more hittable of a pitch. But the slider, oh man, when that slider is cooking down away, it is gorgeous at 92. And that's harder than Bubba Chandler's. And there's also a 84 mile per hour 2-plane curve. He just can't command it too well. So don't get too enamored by Brashton against Rocky Road. I want to be very, very cautious overrating him based on that one game.
No, I'm
not saying that you're doing that either. I am just thinking, all right, I hope that Braxton gets limited. Bubba takes that spot.
Yes. Or, I mean, to be frank, who knows what's going to happen with Johan Oviedo coming off the Tommy John.
Oviedo's cool, man.
Yeah, I know.
7.5 feet of extension.
You've always said he was cool. If
he's cool, he's got multiple breakers. He throws like 95. Like,
yes,
this could work.
Command the slider, he'd be command, buddy. Speaking of cool, Michael King should be coming back.
I don't know what to expect, and I hope he's great. And his command has been good before, but you might not want to risk it at the Twins this weekend. Just take it from there.
Mike, are you whatever? I was gonna say, ask if you were risking JP Sears today, but he starts tonight, and people won't necessarily hear it in time. Yu Darvish has looked really good of late. The schedule is pretty good because he gets at Seattle. We know that's a park that leans toward the pitchers. Baltimore, Cincinnati, in San Diego, and then Colorado in San Diego. Then at the Chicago White Sox. I'm really liking Yu Darvish's runway for the end of the season here.
Well, that's the thing is he going to actually pull it off? I don't know. I hope so. I feel like he should. And I feel it's a bit underrated at the moment.
Got to get him. Got to get him. The Mariners finally have their starting rotation healthy. So most of these guys you're just throwing out there. Just talk to me about Bryce Miller real quick.
Bryce Miller looked really good in his last outing. A lot of strikes on the secondaries, and his four-seamer was as good as ever. So that's cool. He's now at least going to be in Seattle for the next start, and half of them will be, including this Rocky Road start on the 23rd. So I feel like if you have him, you've held on for so long, you should start him against this game against the Padres and just really hope that he executes the next couple of weeks and takes advantage of it.
Tell me why I should care about any Giant starter other than Robbie Ray and Logan Webb.
Well, should you even care about Robbie Ray? I mean, he was throwing 94, then 92, and then yesterday was 91 when he walked 4 batters with 0 strikeouts. I just needed 1 strikeout, Eric. I lost 5-4, and I needed 1 strikeout. Sorry.
Tough.
But yeah, so Tristan Beck, Carson Whisenhunt, maybe Whisenhunt. Maybe if he showcases the change of the first 2 games and then gets at St. Louis. Verlander, maybe the same thing if the slider comes back against Baltimore and at St. Louis. But like it's all very risky. Just watch the last weekend for the Giants because that is Rocky Road.
Sure, and see who's there. Maybe it'll be Blade Tidwell by then. He's looked good in the minors. Probably should be Blade Tidwell. Going to the St. Louis Cardinals, another one, like, tell me why I should care about anybody other than Sonny Gray. Matthew Liberatore has fallen off. Michael McGreevy has an interesting schedule, and so maybe, but should I care about
he's the one. He's the only one. He's just feeding into the elite defense of the Cardinals. So don't expect strikeouts, but it's the Pirates at Cincinnati, hosting the Giants at Seattle, hosting the Reds with the Reds carpet, going to the Giants. I mean, this is as good of a schedule as you'll find. Yeah. And no strikeouts, but if you're in a quality start league, this is the guy to circle.
We should just note for people waiting on Quinn Matthews, the velocity has continuously dipped in AAA, and the command has been a real issue as well. I'm not sure that Quinn Matthews is fully healthy. His start yesterday was like 4 1/3, and he threw 90 pitches, I think, like 59 for strikes. It has not looked as good as we want it to be. Again, hopefully still optimistic for 2026, but I would not be getting my hopes up for Quinn Matthews this year outside of maybe a start or 2 at the end. Speaking of left-handed starters, though, it seems that the Rays are going to put Ian Seymour in the rotation. Ian Seymour was a starter before he was a reliever for the Rays. The Joe Boyle became Joe Boyle, and the Rays are making a switch. What are your thoughts on Ian Seymour? Are you into Shane Baz, Adrian Hauser? What's standing out from this Tampa Bay rotation?
Can we just acknowledge that Joe Boyle is Boyle from Brooklyn Nine-Nine? Like, the moments where he's like, oh man, Boyle. Yeah. But at the day,
I do love that show so much.
Look, Ian Seymour is just, I don't think he's that good. I really don't see anything inside the arsenal that is spectacular. I don't think that it's anything special, at least right now. However, he is a lefty with a changeup, and just okay. Maybe this is good enough. At the very least, I see what this Guardians one is, and maybe you go into Washington after. But then he has to host 4 straight games. Actually, 3 of the next 4 are in George Steinbrenner field. I wouldn't want that. Drew Rasmussen, I feel like you just got to do because he's not really getting that limited anymore. And Hauser's just always been a streaming option as well. Ryan Pepio just start away from George Steinbrenner field. And Shane Baz, I know it's been so painful. I would consider him at least this week away from George Steinbrenner field. Anytime he's away from home, he might actually be able to execute what he has.
Yep. Oh, man. Shane Baz. I know. In a few places. It's sad. Moving to Texas, your auto starting DeGrom, Eovaldi. Jack Leiter is coming off the best start of his career. What are we doing there?
Nope. You can't trust it. You can't trust it. Even then, it wasn't like the Blake Snell blueprint executed. And guess what? It's in Sacramento. Like, that is not it. Maybe by the end of the year against the Marlins and at the Guardians for Jack Leiter, but no.
Sad.
Yeah.
I had such high hopes.
I know.
We seem to have a true 6-man in Toronto. Eric Lauer has remained in the rotation for now. Might remain in the rotation. Shane Bieber looks real good.
Amazing. He looks so good. I can't express enough how good that looked. And like he never left. It was pretty incredible. Stole the night from Bubba Chan.
And a great under the radar addition.
Definitely.
A great under the radar addition for the Blue Jays.
And Eric Lauer, are you wondering, okay, should I be doing that? Chris Bassett. Bassett's fresh off of 10 strikeouts. It's a rarity when the curveball is that good. We saw that in his other 10 strikeout game, like in May or something like that. Maybe it was in April. I'm not really a fan of that. Scherzer, just as you said, Eric, Scherzer's never been bad. And he's still not bad. It's kind of crazy. So you just keep rolling with that. And Eric Lauer, maybe he's a desperate stream, honestly. I just don't believe that his four-seamer is performing as well as it is against right-handers, but I guess it is. Yeah. So if you just want to Vargas rule that, sure, you do you. And Kevin Gausman's a hipster. I don't, whatever. Same with Rios.
You do you, people. That's what we're just here to tell you. You do you. What should we do, though, with the Nationals, our final team? I want to focus on 2 names who have intrigued us at times. It's Brad Lord and Cade Cavalli.
Brad Lord?
And I'm curious what you think. Brad Lord has had some interesting Brad Lord has had some interesting. I know, but he's had some interesting starts where he was on the radar in deeper formats for a while because you're like, hey, this guy might be fine, kind of thing.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, he has a decent amount of run on his sinker, but he's a right-hander, and it's not quite sinker slider, but maybe kind of. I don't really think that this is worth your time. Cade Cavalli, of course, is for 2 starts against the Marlins. That to me is what I would circle. That curveball is just so pretty. And you might actually want to go with the Pittsburgh Pirates after that. But do not touch Mitchell Parker. Do not touch Jake Irvin. I would love for a team to just acquire Mitchell Parker for absolute nothing in the offseason and work with him. And Mackenzie Gore, I think I'm just going to write out. I know it sounds crazy, but I just think Mackenzie Gore with at New York, Marlins at Cubs is tough, but then it's Pittsburgh and it's Atlanta twice. I think I'm just going to do it.
Trust it. You got to do it.
And that's it.
Believe in it. That's the point right now. You just gotta trust your starts. You gotta trust your decisions. We'll be here to help you again. As a reminder, all the subsequent podcasts will be the same. We'll be trying to keep in track of the scheduled changes. And again, yes, we're gonna record these on Monday. And yes, things are gonna get weird after that. The schedules are gonna change. We're going to do our best to keep up with that. You can obviously try to reach out on Twitter and ask us questions. We should note as a programming issue, or not issue, but just note, next Monday is Labor Day. So there's a 99% chance that we're going to record on Tuesday next week.
We are recording on Tuesday.
Okay. There's a 100% chance we're going to record on Tuesday next week. So just keep that in mind for your content consumption. And let's give a big shout out to Eric for making this work while he's on Fire Island. So thank you so much for doing this, Eric. Hey, anytime. Yeah. Happy to be here for the people. Happy to be here for you. It's nice to chat with you for an hour every week still. Absolutely. We're going to do it next week as well. Again, on Tuesday. So we'll check you then. I am Eric Samulski, the Pelican. I'm Nick Pollack, the Lion. And I'm going to go catch some sun before it sets.